Adventuring in an open world can get pretty lonely. Experiences like this are meant to be shared. It's the reason why traditional tabletop RPGs are designed to be played in groups. While adventuring with an NPC is nowhere near on the same level as doing so with a real person, it does help to make the game feel like a more lived-in world. It makes it feel more immersive. With the success of Fallout 3 in New Vegas, it only made sense to add this sort of feature into the newest installment of its sister franchise, hence Skyrim's follower mechanic. While the previous Elder Scrolls installments were very much a single-player affair, now you had NPCs who could follow you around and assist you in combat. And, though limited, they had mechanics built in for dialogue as well. In the past year or two, I found myself going back to those old, familiar fjords of Tamriel. I can't remember exactly why I did it, but I was looking for mods with one character in mind, my favorite character in the Elder Scrolls franchise. You know her. You love her.
By the way, my name is Serana. Good to meet you.
Out of all the possible companions in Skyrim, Serana was the only one that truly felt unique as a character. The whole DLC is basically about her. More specifically, her conflict with her family. Other followers, while fun and interesting in their own way, felt oddly...
"We must save my family!"
stilted in some ways. Serana was engaging. She was complex. She'd ask you questions about things. In fact, she's one of the only characters in the entire base game that asks you about your home life prior to coming to Skyrim. She was actually interested in what your character had to say. Most importantly, there's her story arc, a heartbreaking tale of abuse, generational trauma, and the horrors of being a daughter of Cold Harbor.
Well, growing up the way I did, you get used to it. You don't know what it's like, coming from a family like that. Everything eventually tumbles down to you.
You got to witness firsthand as she confronts the ghosts of her past.
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known her than you've done in centuries.
How dare you! I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father!
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel? You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different. But in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again, but I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
So, to summarize, Serana had her own distinct character design and story arc, and interacted with the player character in ways that hadn't been done prior to the release of the Dawnguard DLC. She wasn't just a follower, she was someone who actually felt like an adventuring companion. You can see now why so many of us wanted to marry her. But alas, this was not meant to be. As a hardcore Serana fan, I wanted something that could build upon Serana as a character. Something that takes the established canon and makes something new out of it. Something more. And in the spring of 2023, I found it.
Actually, now that I think of it, I'm going to come along with you. I've been really wanting to get out and explore a bit.
I came across the Serana Dialogue Add-on, a mod that enhances Serana's character by expanding her dialogue options and interactions. This mod, which I'll call SDA for short, is an ambitious project by Martimius Mods that takes everything related to Serana's character in the original game and runs with it. Serana's lines in the game are redone by the talented Kirsten Unger, with over 8,000 new lines of dialogue added. In short, the mod contains new quests, new scenes, and much more characterization. There's a lot of creative license here, but they try to keep it consistent with what was already given to us in the original game. Allow me to take you on a tour of the mod that's been living in my mind rent-free for nearly a year now. Shall we?
Be a good guide for this old relic.
To give you a better idea of what the mod brings to the table, I've provided some visuals. In short, there's a lot more content added to the game, which allows you to hear Serana's thoughts on Skyrim, the state of the world, and the adventures you embark on. They also added in a few new mechanics to add to the immersion. I found great enjoyment out of them, and I think you will too. Do you like fine drinks and good conversation? This is the mod for you. Just head on down to any tavern or one of the homes you live in and ask Serana if she wants to share a drink with you. This triggers a new mechanic that I'll call drink dates. Whether you're playing through her new romance route or the platonic one, Serana has a lot to say about current events, adventuring, your allies, and life in Tamriel. It's a very social mechanic in a game that doesn't otherwise have this kind of detail.
You know, I've always been very fond of my mother's garden. Such beauty, nurtured by a master for centuries. It really showed, didn't it? Sorry. I must have gotten carried away. It's just... my childhood wasn't all bad, you know? There was some good in it, for sure. So, what do you want to talk about now? It's nice, spending time like this, just having drinks together.
Having these drink dates with Serana also adds an XP buff, which I think is a nice touch. The faction quest lines have been made that much more interesting with Serana's insights and commentary. She's pointed out a lot of things that I hadn't even considered before. It's entertaining to see her takes on things.
If I'm seeing things right, you are a very fresh student here. You finished your very first lesson, and now they're asking you to delve deep into a Nordic ruin? It seems a bit much, if you ask me. You're an experienced adventurer, even if you're just starting your formal studies in Skyrim. If you got into a fight, if not for your magic, you'd still find some way to come out on top. Look at the other students here. I don't think many of them have even adventured before. Worst case, they may end up getting hurt and killed, all just for some jaunt to discover various applications of magic throughout history or whatever.
Ask her what she used to do for fun around the castle and she'll reveal that she knows how to sing.
I wasn't nearly good enough to join the Bard's College, but I was pretty decent at it.
And you know what? She's not half bad.
And sails fly out half-mast in the color of evening's hue. And tears break the silence for the children we almost knew. When dawn kissed the ocean, from the golden light came our birth. And when dusk falls on the harbor, to the golden shores we will return.
And, should you choose to pursue it, you can finally, yes, finally, choose to romance Serana. And yes, this includes marriage.
Ahem. My fellow traveling companion, doesn't this courtyard look nice? It's serene in a certain way, and uniquely beautiful, like a certain... maybe. Well, actually, yeah, the garden actually didn't age well. No, I wasn't talking about you. Well, I was. Well, it's entirely possible. Now, enough of that. We got a job to do. Well done, Serana. Nice. You really are as eloquent as an ice wraith.
But perhaps the most interesting part of this mod is the psychology behind its narrative. It's all on the mod's webpage. But basically, the story arc involves Serana struggling with her past trauma, going from an extremely guarded person who's wary of almost everyone around her, to a more open and emotionally healthy individual who forges lasting connections with people based on trust and understanding.
That's a long story. I guess We kind of have to go way back, to the very beginning.
Obviously, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to Serana's relationship with her parents. We were given most of the story in the Dawnguard DLC, but with the mod set in place, there's extra detail added in. For one thing, Serana has a lot more to say about Harkon's lukewarm welcome upon returning to the castle.
After all these years, that's the first thing you ask me? Yes, I have the scroll.
Of course,
She has
I'm
the scroll.
delighted to see you, my daughter. Must I really say the words aloud?
And it's hilarious.
My father. After all these years, that's the first thing he asked me. I trust you have the scroll. Yes, I have the scroll, gods.
You get to discuss her relationship with both her parents as before, but now there's more complexity to it. You can really get a feel for the family's dynamic and how they affected Serana as a character. Getting to hear more about her relationship with her mother is just fantastic.
Do you know where vampirism came from? Exactly. The first vampire came from Molag Bal. She was not a willing subject, but she was still the first.
In Markarth, you can actually complete the House of Horrors quest with Serana accompanying you. I really appreciated this expansion in particular because it seemed kind of crucial to her character, and I wanted something that would touch upon that subject. The scene itself was difficult. Not only is Serana present in the house with you, she actually has a full-on post-traumatic episode the second she hears Molag Bal's voice. Her VA's performance adds a lot of urgency to the scene. The amount of trauma she's experiencing in that moment is so distressing that it compels you to get the quest over with as soon as possible just to escape. When you finally exit the House of Horrors, it triggers this scene.
No, I'm not, really. But I am certainly feeling better than I was a while ago. Do you know what just happened? Not just any Daedric lord. This one is Molag Bal, and his will is made reality. I've been deflecting it all this time, but I really just need to let this out. Do you know what exactly happened at the summoning day? Yes. As part of the rituals on the summoning day, I was defiled. That sick Molag. It was just terrifying to see that twisted sense of delight in his eyes. The only thing he cared about was having his fun, using me as an object for his pleasure. Yes, it gave me my powers and immortality. But the truth of the matter is, to him, I will forever just be an object, a plaything. Even immortality doesn't last forever. And when my time is up on Mundus, I'll probably end up back in Cold Harbor. This is who you're dealing with. Molag Bal, the Daedric Prince of Domination. Do you really want this? Good. What a relief. Then let's just leave it at that. Let's leave this behind us and move on. Thank you.
This was by far a vast improvement. I always wondered why she never had anything to say about this quest in particular in the base game, especially given the whole Daughter of Cold Harbor situation. If you'll remember, in the original version of the game, she was always very adamant on giving you the freedom to make these kind of choices for yourself, because she never did. This new version feels like a natural extension of that idea.
I wouldn't want that for you. You don't deserve that. Though, not of my own choice. I was shoved into a similar mess when I first became a vampire. Yes, the power did feel good, but at what cost? I'm sorry. I wish I knew a better way. Something that would be easier for you. Just know that, whatever path you choose, I won't think any less of you. Sometimes, things just have to be done. I know that better than anybody. I wouldn't want something to ever get forced on you. I don't want to see a repeat of my life in yours.
What should I say about this new version of Serana? In general, her personality has more layers to it, so she feels more complex. She's a huge nerd. Take her to the College of Winterhold, especially the library. You'll thank me later. She's gone from a sassy companion into the sass master. She can, and will, roast you to Aetherius and back.
Maybe you're a pile of talking script jelly. Rocks and valleys, crevices and hiding places. This is the kind of place where hermits and fanatics dwell. You fit right in. I'm kidding.
But she's also got a sensitive side to her.
I've really come to care about you. I just wanted you to know that. Yes, I appreciate you. And that's all I'm going to say for now. You do? I'm glad to hear that. Let's get going then.
As you travel with her, you'll be able to hear her anxieties, her fears, her insecurities, as well as her hopes and aspirations. As I've said before, there are plenty of new interactions between Serana and the player character. I won't go too far into spoiler territory because I want you to go and play it for yourself. But I will say, the interactions feel organic, genuine, and the romance is just so sweet. It's just so cute. The romance with Serana is entirely optional, and there is a platonic route you can choose to take. But I could never bring myself to do it because I'm such a massive sick.
What's the plan?
Just to give you an idea of what's to come, I'll list off some of the things they have planned. You can check this out on their website. I'm especially looking forward to their additions to the vampire side of the Dawnguard DLC. While Clan Volkihar and Dawnguard share a lot of the same scenes in the main part of the questline, I'm curious to see how they tackle things from this perspective. There's a lot of potential here. What's more, there's going to be an option where you can talk to Serana about being cured just so that she can be the one to turn you. Damn, it's like these people knew exactly what my character's motivations were.
If I were a betting woman.
I would wager that the more support this mod gets, the faster they'll be able to complete these parts of the project. Which brings us to the end of our tour. Now, I'm not normally one to make suggestions on what people should spend their money on, and I totally respect people who are careful with their finances, because I'ma be real with you, I'm broke as a joke. But as a free market lover of liberty, I do believe in supporting projects that I like. So with this in mind, I say to you, if you download this mod, play it, and find that you absolutely love it, maybe you should consider going to their Patreon. Just consider it. And only if you got cash to splurge on. I don't want to hear about anybody going bankrupt, okay? Also, if more people support this project, that means I can see the Daedric Emergence updates that much sooner, so if nothing else, show them some love by clicking the endorse button on their Nexus page, commenting on it, or checking out some of the team's other work. It costs nothing, and it tells them how much you care. And trust me, in any kind of fan work, community engagement is everything. I wanted to make this video because this is, without a doubt, the mod that fundamentally changed how I think of Skyrim. I have a tendency to latch on to a story that intrigues me. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I developed a fixation. All throughout 2023, it had me ravenously checking the mod's webpage. That's just how invested I was. What's more, it fills a void in the storyline that I didn't even know was there. Serana was always meant to have a profound impact on the main questline, that much is certain. But, as in many cases, sometimes things are left unfinished when developing the final product. While obviously not a replacement for canon, the mod feels like a truly authentic experience. Now, whenever I try to picture Serana or the Dawnguard DLC, this is the Serana that comes to mind. Complicated, endearing, clever, sometimes a bit of a goober, with a certain vulnerability that she keeps locked away, waiting for you to show her that she doesn't have to go it alone. And that just about covers it. Now, if you'll excuse me, Serana and I are off to kill the gourmet. Do you have any thoughts, Serana?
You're not a good cook. Just being real here.
I take back everything I just said. This mod sucks and you suck. I'll have you know that I'm a damn fine cook.
A few moments later,
I have people begging me to make them dessert.
2 hours later, 3 weeks later, 20 minutes later.
It's not my fault. The only things you Nords ever eat are cabbages, week-old venison, and the mucus-covered snout of a mastodon. Not a good cook, how dare you! I want a divorce. I just want to thank the creative team behind this mod, as it's become very near and dear to my heart. Thank you, Martimius, and all the folks involved with making this wonderful, wonderful mod. Oh, and if Kirsten Unger is watching this, I just want to say, I think you're really cool and your voice is fantastic.